All right, so we're here. We're back. This is episode 2.
Episode 2.
And I honestly think this is a good one.
Yeah, I think we have a lot to say about this one because I mean, there's just so many years worth of like, I don't know if we would necessarily want to call it experience, but just a lot of years worth of just learning and growing and all of that. So I mean,
so like on I'm sorry, but so like on episode the first episode,
just the first
as
one,
as if we had a bunch of episodes.
So many episodes.
So on episode 1, we discussed on, you know, we were together since we were 14 and we've been together for 14 years.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Literally half of our lives. So that's really what we want to dive into for today's video. But before we get into that, because I know once we start that, like that's it.
Oh, that's right.
We're gonna just keep going in. But we said we want to starting. Does that even make sense? We want to just start every single one of our episodes with a question for each other.
Oh, what are we grateful for, or what we learned this week?
Yes, what has God taught us, or what is something we're grateful for.
Yeah.
So
at
take it away, Penny. I'm a huge SpongeBob fan, by the way, so I might throw a little bit like here and there,
God.
but yeah. I don't understand. SpongeBob is a way of life, I feel like, at this point. But anyways, I'm kidding.
Excuse me, the Lord is the way of life. For me, what I'm grateful for is honestly all the love that we received this week for the episode 1 that we uploaded. Yeah, you know, a lot of people gave us all these encouraging words, but I want to thank God because, you know, he used a lot of people to support us, to cheer us on. And it's what gets us going. What gets us moving. You know, all your comments, all your feedback, everything that you say and do for us through social media, whether it's sharing, commenting, following, subscribing.
Or even if you send us a text, like,
you know, exactly, a text message too. All of that is very motivating. And we appreciate it. With this, it makes us sit down in this chair and move forward,
it makes
us
excited because it's just like in general, I mean, sitting down and, you know, getting yourself on camera, being really real with yourself, being authentic and like not holding back. It's a little scary because sometimes you don't know if someone will think the way you think. And it's just, you're really putting yourself out there, right? You're putting yourself kind of, even though this is a more comfortable setting, it's still an uncomfortable situation of like being real with people you don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
So this has been a whole new like journey that we're starting, and to have received like this love, it's awesome. It really is.
Yeah. So again, guys, we are grateful.
Yeah.
You know, please, we appreciate it. So continue giving us a little bit more feedback, what you liked, what you didn't like, you know. If there's just encouraging words, go for it, you know, because YouTube isn't easy. It's
a great feeling of like, you know, just some kind of motivation and just like a pat on the back, like, good job.
No, you
100%. I would say for me, something that God has taught me, and I feel like is continuously teaching me, is that, you know, God has our backs in all situations. You know, we get very caught up on, you know, am I doing the right thing? Am I this? Am I that? We just get so much in our heads. And time and time again, God has proven to me that he is with us. He is with me, and don't be afraid, right? Keep fighting on. And for sure, I mean, like we were just talking about, like doing a podcast, doing this is like something that is out of our normal like life. We're really putting ourselves out there. So it's definitely a scary feeling of like, is anyone even going to watch this? Like, you know? And so by just the feedback and everything we talked about, it was just like a glimpse of God telling me like, I told you, like, I got you, girl. Like, come on. Why are you so scared? And not even just with that, it's just with other things in life. Sometimes we tend to question God, and God just time and time again, it's like, I will be there with you.
Yeah.
You know, and his word just, I mean, we've been getting really into Proverbs lately.
Oh, yeah.
And it tells us time and time again. And we were just studying about how like the Bible tends to repeat itself over and over again, because as human beings, we're just so forgetful. So I'm so grateful that God has patience with me. And he's all like, girl, just come on, sigue adelante, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
But before moving on to our relationship portion, and here you are taking a sip.
Oh yeah, so I want to show you my mug of the day because it's funny, like we have
our mug shot.
Our mug shot. Oh. Boom.
Here, this is the rim shot.
This is where you need to add the
little soundboard, the rim shot. Boom, boom. So here's our mug shot.
This is our mug shot of the day. Like we were saying, Xavier got us really into coffee, so that just kind of became my love language in general is gift giving. So one of like the little ways that like I show him that I love him is like I'll randomly buy him a coffee mug.
I love it.
And now it's to the point where like our cabinet is just full of so many mugs.
Right, where it's supposed to be like bowls and plates and stuff. We got nothing but mugs.
We have way more coffee mugs and we have like forks, spoons, plates, and all of that. So we're like, why don't we just start adding them on and like just display them? Because we need to display them somewhere. We have our own fun. But so mine today is my husband is hotter than this coffee. Even at this point.
With a lipstick stain.
With a lipstick. I don't know. I'm kidding.
And then mine is just a get outside because I'm a
yeah.
very outdoorsy kind of guy.
Yes, he is. He's God bless your soul.
What? All right. So moving on to our relationship.
Yeah.
This loaded story, this 14 years of history is about to unfold.
I feel like I have to take like a deep breath like when we're talking about this.
Yeah. How did we meet? I'm going to let you go. How did we meet, baby?
Me? Okay. Yeah. So in my perspective, the way we met was in middle school, which is crazy to think back because I look at middle schoolers now and they feel like they look like toddlers. But we were in middle school. I want to say
more like 8th grade.
Yeah.
7th grade, we saw each other.
I saw you 6th grade. 7th grade, I kind of knew you, but not really. And then 8th grade was when I actually got to have a couple of words with him and actually talk with you. But yeah, basically, I'm just going to say disclaimer. For me, sometimes when I think back on our story, certain things are a little cringy just because it's very little kiddish. Like, when it's like, how they say like, oh, if a boy's bothering a little girl too much, a lot of times it means they have a crush on them. So it's like little things like that where like I notice, I'm like, oh my gosh, like he gave me a note, like he walked me to my class. Like it's a lot of stuff like that. All right. So it's just bear with us. But yeah, basically in middle school, I remember I had a boyfriend and my boyfriend at that time actually happened to be friends with Xavier. Mm-hmm. And it never really thought of anything like that. I was just like, oh yeah, that's Xavier. And I knew his ex-girlfriend his girlfriend at the time, and it was just like we knew each other, but we never really talked. It was more like I saw you in the hallway, and
this was
like,
7th grade.
This was 8th grade. 7th grade, I didn't really talk to you.
Well, I wasn't really in a relationship in 8th grade.
Oh, weren't you? Oh,
I mean, I was, but not really.
I mean, that I could say
the same thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm like, I could say the same thing.
I mean, what were we, like 12? Mocosos, yo?
Yeah, I know. But when you're so young and you're going through a moment, everything is such a big deal. You know, everything, like something this tiny is like extra magnified. And it's like, oh my gosh, like this and this happened. And you hear it now when you're an adult, you're like, yeah, so what?
Yeah. But we met where? On the bleachers.
Oh, that's when we like officially met.
That's when we had our first interaction.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was cutting class that day.
Yeah, I actually think you were because it was my gym class.
Yeah, okay, that's what it was.
I said, what are you doing on my spot?
Wait. Yeah, you're going too fast. First of all, to let y'all know, I am a good student, okay? I am a good person, all right? I'm a good noodle. I'm a good noodle. Like, I don't break the rules, But this one day, I just decided, like, oh, I'm going to cut this class because it was a substitute teacher, and I'm going to go to gym class with my friends. In my gym period, I would go up on the very top of the bleachers.
And just sit there?
And then just sit there. It was like a very like music video moment. Like, when you're showering, you're sad.
High School Musical
there's
type
like
thing?
There's like, it wasn't even High School Musical, wasn't even out at that point. Actually,
no,
I
yes,
think it was.
Yes, it was.
It was like the kind of thing where I'm sitting up there and it's like, so sick of love songs.
Oh,
you know, it's like very that kind of feel. I'm depressed because whatever's going on in my life. And then I remember
I started walking up towards you.
He just walks up, and I look at him, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I went up to you, and I was like, what are you doing here? This is my
yeah,
spot.
like just like that, not even high or
I was very, because the thing is, I was very like dark. You get me? Like
I was going through something too.
Right? No, but I was just, I was at that phase where I would tell everybody and anybody, like it was just, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Like, just get out. I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where my attitude
like
was starting to develop. Yeah, I was just being a jerk.
Yeah.
Right? So I walked up to you, and I'm like, what are you doing in my spot?
Yeah,
you know,
and I'm here like...
You look at me, and you're like, this is my spot. You know, and I don't know what happened, where this interaction went, but the next thing I know is my head's laying on your lap.
But not like that. Hold on.
No. Just like I rested my head on your knee.
I'm gonna give you.
I think it's because you wanted to touch my spiky hair.
No. I'm gonna give you a perfect example. So my feet were like both up. I can't like really, you know. But imagine both of my legs being up, and I'm here like this. And then I remember you turned to your side, and your back is now using this as a chair.
Oh, okay.
And then Xavier was known for like his spiky hair. Hold on, let me get my pillow. Xavier was just known for his spiky hair, so then I'm like, oh my god, like I get to touch his spiky hair.
Yeah.
And I remember
them junks were.
Yeah, and I remember you just going like this, and then I was going like that, and I'm just like, oh wow, like this is so cool. And then yeah.
But yeah, we that was it, and then the gym period ended.
The gym period ended, and
I don't think we ever did that again.
No, we literally.
Well, you were cutting class first of all.
Yeah, and let me tell you, I got caught that day, and because the substitute told someone else, and now I got in school suspension, and I remember it was like a whole
with
big
Ms.
thing.
Gelman.
Oh yeah, Miss Gelman. Well, yeah, I don't know, but. I just remember being like, I am the worst person in this world. I got caught. Like, you know, and that was like the last time I basically cut.
Yeah.
Kind of.
No.
Kind of. No. But the other ones were with excuse. Okay. They were actually permitted.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah.
But moving forward, you know, we kind of like, it was shortly after that, 8th grade ended. We saw each other again one more time at the Battle of the Bands in Ocean Grove.
Oh, yeah. So
right? It was at the beach called?
It was Ocean Grove. Like we were saying on episode 1, like me and him both had like grown up in church. So with my church.
We didn't know that. And we still didn't know that at this time.
We didn't, because I only had one conversation with him. But our church was having like some kind of like outing with the youth. And they were saying like, hey, we're going to go to the beach. There's like a Star 99.1 like concert, Battle of the Bands type of thing going on. And everybody who wants to come can come. Yeah.
And then my church actually went to the volleyball tournament that they were having there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just remembering something.
Yeah. Yeah. And then that's when we saw each other. You were walking in.
Yeah, I was literally walking
over by the volleyball, and I looked back and I said, wait a minute, I know that girl.
Yeah.
You know, but I do remember, you know, just to fast forward a little bit here, I do remember actually looking for you. Like, I left the tournament to find you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, just
where
looking around, right? But the only reason why is because I actually had a moment in middle school where it was God at this point. He told me, oh, that's going to be your future wife. Meanwhile, again, I'm a mocoso over here in 8th grade, and I'm just getting
like,
mad. I'm like,
interested in other people.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I'm just getting mad. I'm like, no, that's not gonna be my wife. Like, no, that's not the one.
That's crazy.
You know. But I remember him saying that's the one.
Wow.
And then fast forward again back over to the volleyball tournament. I just remember that, and I start looking for you. You know, and then it didn't help that one of the other youth was just like, oh, who's that girl? You know, she's kind of cute. And I'm like,
and I remember the girl that I was with was like, oh, he's kind of cute.
And I was just like, oh, yeah, you know what? Let me go look for her, you know, because it was a break in between. So I left and I went to go find you. Never did, though. So we had this big gap. And we ended up being in the same high school.
Yeah, because I think that might have happened maybe around like July, August time. You know, it's the whole summer break for us. Over here, school ends in June, and then it starts again in September. I know it's different from like state to state, but it was just we saw each other in 8th grade, then break, then that one interaction in like the beach encounter. And then after that, it was like high school.
Yeah.
You know?
And then once we get to high school, you know, we didn't talk. We realized that we were in the same school. And it was just more like, oh, I know that girl. And we actually didn't bump into each other until Halloween. But before we jump into Halloween, you know, I want to just dive into this idea of having a Christian relationship. And honestly, I was at 13, 14 years old saying, God, I've had enough.
Yeah, no, literally it was the same thing for me because like, I don't know what it is. Like, I was just saying, I know when you're young, everything's so dramatic, but I definitely got in that moment where I'm like, I don't want to date anymore. I don't want to this. I'm so sick and tired of guys and blah, blah, blah. Like, as if, like, the worst has happened to me, right? But I just remember telling myself, and I, like, still vividly remember this moment where I was in my bed, and I'm, like, my bed was more towards the corner, so I was, like, facing the wall. And I remember I was just crying, and I was praying, and I'm like, God, I just want to find my husband.
Yeah.
Like, I just want the next guy that I'm with. I want that guy to be
crazy.
it. And that's
crazy.
it. Like, that's all I want, you know? And I remember thinking in my head, like, well, that's going to be a long time because I'm only 14 years old.
Right.
You know?
And I did this prayer and I asked God, I'm like, God, you know, I want my wife to be like this, and that. And the reason why is because one of our youth group leaders at my old church, they said, when you're doing a prayer, when you're praying for your future wife, you know, I remember they did like this separation where they did a guys only. Mm-hmm. And he said, when you're praying for your future wife, you need to be detailed.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you want your wife to be like this, and that, you know, God's going to hear that. Yeah. Right. So I did that prayer and I was like, God, I want her to be like this. I want her to be pretty. I want her to be Spanish. I want to blah, blah, blah. And, you know, and one of the things, by the way, just to insert it, I wanted her to have a tall family.
Like,
I know that
so
sounds
random.
I know that sounds weird, but I don't like the idea of being short. I'm not short. I
don't think
some
you're
people
short.
think I might be short. I'm 5'9", right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't consider that short, but whatever. If somebody does, I don't care. But I even at 14, I was telling myself, I want my kids to be tall.
Yeah.
You know, so I want the girl to have a tall family.
You were thinking of everything.
I was in biology.
I'm here just all like, I hope he's cute. Yeah. Like,
right? So that was my prayer.
Yeah.
You know? And then and honestly, the biggest thing is Christian. You know, I wanted her to be Christian.
Yeah, that was automatically.
You know, and that was really important to us because we didn't want to have to explain. Well, at least for me, I didn't want to have to explain myself why I'm going to church or, you know, why I feel like church is important. No, I wanted the girl that I'm with to already understand the importance of going to church.
Yeah.
The importance of being a Christian, the importance of believing in Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, it happened to me where I had dated this guy, like, you know, and he wasn't Christian. And I would try so hard to like preach the word to him and like, hey, listen, or you should try coming to church and like this and that. And it was just a constant like, no, I'm good. And, you know, when certain things were happening in my life where I wanted some kind of advice or some this, or I wanted to have Jesus talk, it's like I didn't have that to share with. And then not to mention my mom was also like super strict. And she's all like, if the guy isn't Christian or if the guy isn't this, don't bring him to the house. But I remember she found out.
Plot twist. She didn't care.
I know. I know. But yeah, so basically like she gave me such a hard time with that. And I remember thinking back then like, but you don't know, God could change someone. Like, you know, and it is true. God can't change someone. But I just remember it was a lot to deal with. And I'm like, I think this is too much. And I just remember thinking, you know, my mom would constantly also tell me about like being equally yoked.
Yeah.
So I'm just all like, okay, the next person like just at least has to have some kind of interest, you know?
And real quick, I just want to go into an actual Bible verse that talks about what you were saying. It says in 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14, it says, do not be yoked together with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship does light have with darkness?
So yeah, it's exactly like kind of just reiterating like what we said in chapter 1 in episode 1, where it's like when we're talking about your inner circle, it's not that you can't, have acquaintances or talk to people who are unbelievers, but we're talking about your very inner circle. You got to make sure that those people are how you want to be, because whatever they have will definitely rub off on you. And if someone has the idea of like, I don't really care about God, or I don't this, it's like,
yeah,
man,
even
God
if you're
bless
a believer,
you, but I can't have you in my like inner circle.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with a relationship.
And I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but it's like even as like you can be firm, right? You can be firm as a firm believer and whatnot. You could know what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do, right? But if you surround yourself around darkness, if you surround yourself around things that you shouldn't be doing, eventually you're gonna fall.
Yeah.
Even if it's a small slip up, right? But the devil will take advantage of that and make it another small slip up. Well, I did it again, all right, God forgive me. And then again, and then again, and then eventually that starts to grow.
Yeah.
Which is why, you have to be the light within the darkness.
I mean, even if you do feel like you're so strong spiritually and you got everything going, I mean, even the word says itself, like, be careful for those who think that they stand firm, that they may not fall. Why? Because we're capable of it. We're not perfect human beings. We have weaknesses.
Yeah, exactly. But moving on, we had this, we actually had a moment where we kind of linked up again.
Yeah.
And it was because of Halloween.
Yeah.
Not because we were celebrating Halloween, but because we weren't celebrating Halloween.
Yeah.
Back in the day, the way you communicated wasn't through text. Back in the day, it was AOL, Instant Messenger, or MSN. And we were using MSN. So I'm online, and then bloop.
I don't even remember what our conversations could have been like.
Well, I know that I quickly asked you. I'm like, what are you doing away from school? Like,
well, yeah, that was like the initial thing, because I remember in my head I had logged on, and I remember thinking like, oh, I wonder who's online. Probably, like, honestly, nobody's probably going to be online because everyone's going to be at school right now. I mean, we didn't go to school that day. I didn't know that he didn't. I just happened to find out that he didn't when he went on MSN.
Yeah.
So I remember I logged on and I see his name on, and I'm like, what's Xavier doing online, And then that quickly we started having a conversation.
Yeah.
And then it was from then I found out, like, it was like, well, why aren't you in school? I'm like, well, I'm Christian. I don't celebrate Halloween.
And I'm like, oh.
And then he was all like, I'm Christian too. And I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. I mean, even I thought to myself, I'm like, hold up. So you a Christian, huh?
You didn't even
Let me show you how many chairs I can grab.
Like, you didn't even examine my heart. You didn't even see how I was like, she's Christian. That's it. Like,
yeah. No, I was happy about that.
Yeah.
I truly was. And, immediately after that, I started talking to you, I started hitting you up more.
Yeah. After that, we started talking more. And then it was even in, like, for me, the way I remember it is just, we had that conversation. And then during lunch period, just out of nowhere, he started appearing in my life.
Right.
Like, I'll be walking the hallways and I'll see him more all of a sudden. And I'm just all like, okay. We'll start talking all of a sudden. And then
you told me something about Myspace.
What do you mean?
Well, I remember you saying that.
Oh, yeah. So I was just having a conversation.
See, I didn't even know. I know I did it. I think, I'm trying to think now. I actually think I did that on purpose.
You probably did, because you know what? You put me somewhere. Okay, do you guys remember MySpace? Like, back in the day with all like your music and your top 8. Your top 8 made or break
relationships,
made or broke your friendships.
Yeah, it's like, yo, why am I not on your top anymore?
Yeah, like, wow, bro, you took me out your top. So I remember, like, we started talking more, and in my head, I was just very like, nah, there's no way he likes me. Like, I'm just building it up in my head, and I mean, not to mention, I also had like pretty low self-esteem at that time, so I was very like, no, I don't think I'm his type. Like, I'm very like.
Yeah, but you also had a perspective of me that was just totally wrong.
Yeah, because I always saw Xavier as one of those, like, cool, popular guys, So I'm here like, why would he want to talk with me?
I was not like that.
I am definitely, like, more, like, I mean, obviously the years have developed and God has shown grace over me,
What?
I'm kidding. But I'm just saying it in the sense of like, I was definitely more on like that geeky dorky.
Well, I always thought that was cute.
See, but
I like that.
But okay, but when you think back then, it's like that's not an attractive quality.
Right,
That's
right,
more
right.
like you got to stay with your own.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
So I felt that way. I mean, I was also in this thing where I was coming out of my bubble, and yeah, I had my like geeky nerdy side, but I also
Your Yu-Gi-Oh card days.
yeah, like hello, Pokemon, like, you know, that's a whole nother me, all right? But yeah, so, you know, I had that, but I still had like, I was starting to get into makeup and dressing up. So in my head, I'm just like, I don't think this guy would ever go for someone like me because we're totally different. But then one day we log into MySpace and I was just having this conversation with a friend where he showed me this video and it talks about like all the good old MySpace days, and it was like two people flirting. And I'm just all like, wow, yeah, that's so true. Like I found out Xavier liked me, or he felt some type of way with me because I was like on his top 3.
Yeah.
Like
What? Top
yes,
3?
Yes. If I'm not mistaken,
I thought I had you at like 5.
No. If I'm not mistaken, I'm almost sure I was like top 2 because
No.
Yes, because I remember.
Damn, yo, I wanted to make it obvious. I was like, yo, marry me.
I just remember like I happened to go to your page, and then I see it went from like me not being anywhere on your top to like boom straight to the top, and I'm like, am I missing something here? Like, you know, and I just remember.
And listen, back then,
that was
being
a big
on the
deal.
top, yeah, that was a big deal.
That
was a big
And
deal.
especially like, you know how it was like 4 and then 4.
Oh, we lost the light.
Oh
well.
It's okay. Whatever.
It wasn't 4 and 4, so it was top 10. So we had 5.
No, it was top 8.
It was 8.
Yeah,
That's right.
and then you were able to do a top 16.
And then you were able to change it. Yeah.
If you did a different coding and all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you were in the top 4, that was already like pretty big deal, you know. And then seeing that, I was just like, okay, but I still don't think he likes me. Maybe we're just being really good friends. Like,
sure.
Listen, that was just my thought process.
Eventually, you know, we did end up making it a little more obvious. It started becoming more of a, hey, I kind of like you, like,
yeah, he's sitting.
But we didn't know how to really go about it, right? Because I was just sitting at your table, and we were having our conversations almost religiously after school. We were always talking together.
Yeah, every day after school we were talking on MSN. You were sitting at my lunch table now every single day.
Yeah.
I feel like this was maybe like a couple of weeks worth of like constantness.
Yeah.
You know?
But then we ended up getting to a point where it's like, well, I like somebody.
Oh, yeah. One of our conversations. Oh, my God, that's right.
Yeah, I like somebody. And you said, I like somebody too. And then I said,
well, who do you like? And I'm like,
I said, well, you know this person. I told you, I was like, well, you know this person, and then eventually, we ended up saying, well, I like you. And when you said, I like you too, girl, I got up.
I know.
Oh, shoot.
That's how excited you were.
I got up, and it was like a smile from point to point. I was so happy.
Yeah, I remember at that time, like, my heart was just like butterfly central.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh my gosh.
I mean, it's nerve-wracking too, right? Yeah, because it's like
you're telling yourself someone that you like them, and then it's like, oh,
what if they don't like me back?
Well, actually, I was trying to say I like your friend. Like, imagine.
Ew.
But I remember after we had that conversation, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, we both like each other. And I remember I called up my friend and I was like, he likes me back. Like, I was just like super excited.
I was thinking to myself, what next? Wait,
yeah,
so are we dating?
That's what I said. I'm like, but he's not my boyfriend yet. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I didn't even know what to do, honestly.
Yeah, I think shortly.
I sucked at asking girls out. Like,
you want to tell them how that happened? And that was actually a couple of days maybe afterwards. I feel like
it wasn't even. It was like the next day.
Probably.
I did not wait.
I don't know.
So I sent her a text.
No, we were on MSN. We were on MSN.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I was like, hey, so you like me, I like you.
What we doing, girl?
Yeah, exactly. And I ended up asking her out through MSN, which is, yes, it's terrible. It's like, oh God.
But also, you were 14 years old.
Yeah.
Like, there's no.
Well, I think about it now, and I wish I could have done something so much better, But I was shy.
It's fine. I mean, listen, you made it to the end goal. Here we are, man. Like,
yeah. But what was your response though?
So I remember when he asked me out, like we were just having a regular conversation, and you were like, "Oh, like I have a question to ask you." And in my head, I'm here like, "Oh my gosh, this is it." It's like when they're gonna propose to you, like, "Oh my gosh, this is it." Like,
yeah.
And then I remember you asked me, but I wanted to say yes, but I didn't want to seem like desperate or like I'm like just quickly going on. So I remember telling him like, okay, yeah, like I'll think about it. Like I'll get back to you, It was just happening way too quick for
I
me.
think you asked me if you could answer later.
And
I didn't really understand what that question meant. Because I thought later was like maybe later in like 5 minutes. In a couple minutes. Like
I meant like give me a couple days.
Right.
Let it simmer down and stuff. So we continued our conversation, and I don't know what else we were talking about. And then I remember.
And then you were gonna leave.
Yeah, I was like,
you were at your friend's house, I think it was, and you had to leave.
No, if I said that, I was lying.
Oh shoot.
If I said that, I don't remember that. But I remember I was in my mom's dining room for sure. 100%. Okay. I remember that.
But I know you were leaving for sure.
Yeah, I had to leave. Yeah. I had to like head out. I was just like, oh, like it's getting late. Like I have to head out. And then this one was like, so
what about the question?
Yeah, it's like, so what's your answer? And I'm here like, bro, like I told you to give me a second. Like,
yeah.
And then I was just like, okay, yes, and then I
was like, yo, I got a girlfriend.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I just remembered like, wow, like I'm really going out with Xavier. Like I just felt
But I was so confused.
Yeah, I was
like,
too.
What do we do? Am I gonna kiss her when I see her?
Literally, that was my thought process. So like we said, totally like high school, young life type of thing, because I remember
I barely wanted to hold your hand.
I know. I mean, it took us a while to hold hands. I do remember that. But I remember like the next day, because that had happened that nighttime through MSN. Next day came, and then I had to like, I know like it was after first period. From going to first period to second period, I always bumped into you, like, because we just happened to walk the same path. And I remember thinking, like, oh, my gosh, first period's going to come to an end. I'm about to see him.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? Like, is he going to kiss me? Do I kiss him? Do we just, like, say hi to each other, like, on the cheek? Because that's how we would say hi. And then you want to continue it?
God, I wish I didn't have to. So we start walking up to each other, but I think we were like
him from far. You look like you were so far away, and I'm just all like, here
and
we comes.
we were meeting each other at the entrance of the high school, like the main building, and so I'm speed walking towards her, right? Because I'm like nervous as heck, so I'm like super stiff, like oh god, what's gonna happen? Do I kiss her? Do I kiss her? Do I kiss her? And I saw you come towards me, and I was like, oh, like. And we did it so fast that we literally
hit our noses.
Oh my god, I got like the stars, like you get me, like all the nerves went to the top of my head. My eyes were like, oh shoot.
We just went straight like like peck, but I remember like we didn't even say bye. We were just like bye, and then we just kept walking.
Yeah. It was the worst. Oh my god.
I had to go up the stairs, and I was like, ow.
Yeah. That was honestly, I think I turned red. I didn't know what to do, and then we saw each other again, and I was like,
is this gonna keep happening? Like, what's going on?
I think we were going to like, I don't know, some class by the stairs, and I had to go to my math class. I remember that.
Yeah. Oh, these are good memories.
Yeah, it was.
Like I think about it.
Oh, you know what I didn't get to mention?
What?
The story with my friend, and I'm going to say his name, Alex.
Oh, Alex.
No, I love that guy. But I was in class. This is when you were coming, like we were walking through the hallways.
This
is
math
before
class.
We asked each other out, right? And I saw you pass.
Oh, this was before Halloween. This is before we actually started talking.
No. I think it was after.
Yeah,
I think it was.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
It was after. This was after Halloween, and and we were passing each other, right? I was going to my math class, and I told Alex, I was like, hey, Alex, you see that girl? And he's like, yeah. He was like, yo, that's gonna be my girl, bro. That's gonna be my next girl. No, I didn't say next girl. Let me not word that right.
Excuse you?
No,
one and only.
No, I said that's gonna be my girl. And he was like, whatever, bro. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, but anyway, so where was I?
You know, it's funny because this is one of those things that he mentioned. I don't know if you mentioned it in our vows or you mentioned it in the wedding, like at the reception.
I mean, in the reception.
And he was like, yeah, and Alex is here and he could be a witness. And he was like, yeah.
Yeah, and I actually told a similar thing to our construction teacher. But anyway, I don't want to get too ahead of him.
He was confident. Yeah. I was here like, I mean,
you think about it. Where this goes. Think about it. I already got a confirmation. Like this isn't like your typical thing is like, hey girl, you know, God's telling me that you're gonna be my wife. Like, no.
You're my wife. And
although, yeah, it did sound like that. I was pretty sure.
Yeah.
You know, and
you were just
I was just confident.
Yeah.
You get me? But we had to survive high school.
Yeah, I know.
You know, and high school was not easy. First of all, we're dating for so long at this point. High school is 4 years. You know, we survived it with no issues, right? But high school is not easy. No. You're going through your identity phase, right?
Yeah.
You're also going through puberty. And everybody at your age by, like, I want to say junior year, senior year, I mean, obviously, you know, younger than that too, but by junior year, senior year, literally everybody has probably lost their virginity by then.
Yeah.
You know, and we were still virgins.
Yeah.
Yo, but it was hard.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It was very much like, you know, because I've always told myself I want to be in a Christian relationship. I want our relationship to be God-centered, but I was also lacking my own personal intimacy.
Yeah.
Like, I only knew God as much as like whatever my mom would tell me or whatever church would tell me. But as far as like me actually diving into the word or trying to have that intimacy with God outside really wasn't existent. So it was like my faith was definitely shaky, you know, and this is like one of those things where it's like, you know, when you're dating for so long and you're young and you're going through all these changes, like, yeah, there's definitely moments that are bound to like slip up or moments where you're bound to like, you know, things might get a little bit heated.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
and we had a lot of close calls.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely did.
You know, and it sucks because it's like, let's be real, you know, it's like you slip up because you go over somebody's house and, you know, you guys are watching TV, but then, you know, it starts getting a little dark and,
little hands,
you know, my hands start going over here and my hand starts going on your lap and, you know, and all that stuff. Like, you guys gotta, you know, young couples, if you guys are in high school and you're dating, listen, you may think you're strong enough, like, oh no, let me hold off. Like, or it's like, oh, it's no problem. You know, he's just touching my butt. Or, you know, he's just touching my lap, or, you know, he's just caressing me a lot. Let me tell you, all that stuff
Them little caresses.
It gets harder and harder. It does not get easier.
Yeah, it definitely does get difficult. And you're just so young and there's so much that you're dealing with. And then you're also like loving this person, you know, you're growing this emotional attachment. And so it's like there's more trust and there's more vulnerability. But then on top of that, it's like there's also with high school, it's just everyone's encouraging it.
Yeah.
You know?
And if anything, we got a whole bunch of people. It's like, did you guys have sex yet?
Yeah. And it's like, no, like,
it's like,
back up. Like, what's wrong with you?
Exactly. It was a lot of pressure. It was frustrating because, you know, a lot of guys would be like, oh, yo.
You didn't get that. You didn't hit that. Like,
yeah. Like, what are you gay? Like, you know, it was, yeah. I had a lot of, you know, because you're young, but at the same time, you know, you're already a junior or a senior. So you're older compared to people. And they're all doing it, right? And then prom season comes around the corner, and everyone's doing it.
Yeah,
you know, you got prom weekend and stuff like that. It's things tough. It's not. You just honestly, the way we survived it is we held on to Christian principle.
Yeah, we definitely did. Although we
did go to church a lot.
We did go to church a lot, and we definitely weren't perfect. And like I said, I think had we had a stronger like intimate life with God,
it would have been easier.
It would have been easier. I don't think it would have been. I don't think it would have completely prevented it, because if you're putting yourself in situations where you're bound to fall, then like yeah, Christian or not, like strong in the faith or not, you know, you can fall.
Yeah.
You know, and like just moments alone, definitely not recommended.
Like everyone's gonna have a moment alone, but know your limit, you know,
Yeah.
and even then it's like if you don't know your limit, or if you know yourself for, you know, like having these thoughts behind your head, or, you know, not necessarily with your significant other, and I'm talking to the guys here, you know, if behind closed doors you're doing what you're not supposed to be doing, or you're thinking the way you're not supposed to be thinking,
Chances
are you're gonna have a moment alone, and you're gonna take advantage. Your sexual desire, your hormones, all that stuff is gonna go. It's gonna take in place, and you're gonna.
That's it.
You know, and that's it. God's out the window. It doesn't matter how Christian you are.
Yeah. So at this point, we're just trying to figure out our lives. We're trying to figure out, you know, our walk with God. We're trying to figure out our relationship. We're trying to honor God, but then we're also having like these battles, you know, of like our own, like, you know, sexual and like intimacy, like stuff like that. Like, when is enough? What line don't I cross? Like, you know, there's a lot of that, but for sure, you know, God has definitely like protected me and saved me for a really long time. And just in general, like, and publicly, like, I want to thank you for being such a strong figure in my life, because, you know, I didn't grow up with a dad, and I thank God that he had placed you in my life, not only because, but one of the reasons is because I think about like what would have happened had I ended up with another person.
Oh, with somebody else.
You know, I already don't have a strong father figure in my life to tell me like, listen, guys are like this. You got to be careful for this. That I feel like anybody could have just quickly been like, oh, like, let's go. And who knows where my state of mind would have been. Whatnot. You know, and for sure, like, you know, you definitely kept me grounded. And even moments where I'm just like, oh, I want to like, you know, go to this friend's like birthday party or this and that. And Xavier was just always that like old man. Like, I always saw him that way, and I still see you that way, but he was definitely I
wasn't very fun.
I guess
let's just put it. Let's say it how it is, right? I wasn't very fun. I wasn't into parties. I went into house parties. None of that stuff. Like, I didn't want to go drinking. I don't want to do none of that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like constant battle, right? You're here like trying to please God, and then you're here trying to also like have friendships and be close with them, and then you're like, well, I'm not gonna do any of this, but I'm just gonna hang around with them. But he was very like, you really shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you should come with me, and he's like, no, like, I'm not gonna go, and you really shouldn't. You know, and I'm just all like, but why? Like, it's not a big deal. Like, this and that. Yeah. And so it's like, he definitely kept me thinking. He's like, you really think that God wants you in that type of atmosphere? You really think that that's where you belong? Yeah. And then I'd be like,
meanwhile, I'm struggling, but I'm, you know.
But you're helping me out. And it's like, you know, really what you're doing is just reminding me of something that I definitely already knew. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, you know, if you would have said yes, I'd be like, okay, great. But you saying no, it's really like, I know the answer is no, but I'm trying to convince you. Yeah. You know, so definitely in that part, it's like I was bringing you down, you know, and here you are uplifting me even though you're going through your own battles. So thank you for being that like strong foundation for the moments where I definitely
give yourself some credit too, though, because I had a lot of moments where I was falling and you said, babe, we should go to church. Babe, we need to do this. Babe, we need to do that. You know, and I had a lot of moments in my life where it's like, I even had a small moment in my life. I don't know if you remember this, but I was questioning whether or not I believed in God. Oh. You know, and it was tough for me, and she helped me. Yeah. You know, so it's very important to know who you're dating. You know, is this person bringing you down? Think 10 years, you know, into the future and say, this is where I want to be. This is the type of life I want to have. Is my significant other going to help me get there? Yeah. You know, and unfortunately, we were trying to figure ourselves out. We were still going through that identity phase even after high school. I was trying to figure out who I was supposed to be. Your mom didn't really like me. You know, I mean, your mom liked me, right? But she wasn't fond of the idea.
Fit for me.
Yeah, because she wasn't fond of the idea that I didn't like the idea of going to college. That I wanted to work in like factory work or like all this like labor type of stuff, you know? Yeah. And that's because that's all I ever really saw. Yeah. You know, it's like, you got to hustle. You got to make your money. You got to get your hands dirty.
Doesn't matter. Like, just start working right away.
What's the books going to do for you? I saw it that way. Yeah. You know, and, you know, it took a while to realize that, but we had to figure that out. Yeah. You know, so you have to ask yourself, is your significant other bringing you down? What is your boyfriend or girlfriend doing that's helping you?
Yeah.
Are they doing something with their life or are they not? Do they have plans or do they not?
Yeah.
You know, do you have plans and how are they going to help you?
And also, like, how are you including God into all of this?
Yeah.
You know, because it's a lot of like, what are you doing? What do I want? What do you want? It's like, okay, but what does God want? And it's a lot easier said than done. You know, I'm definitely not trying to like condemn anyone.
No.
I'm like the last person to say, you know, because I've definitely gone through, you know, like I was saying, like my spiritual like ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
Where I'm like so strong with God and then it's like bloop, falling again and then back up again and then back down. So it's like, it's the kind of thing where, you know, just at the end of the day, your partner, man, they play just such a big, significant role.
And what I was saying, you know, what we're saying isn't a only Christian thing. This is a universal.
Yeah, just
thing.
in general, like, is your partner, does your partner have the same vision as you?
Yeah.
You know, do you guys align with, you know, what you guys want for each other's lives later on? You know, because we think about the now, like, oh my gosh, this person's so cute. This person's this. They treat me like this. But people change.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you have to see, like, how much you're, like, do you love this person that you're willing to also change with them?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, you know, what I was saying on episode 1, 14-year-old Xavier, super different from you now.
Yeah.
You know, like, the way we were when we went out, we were different personalities, different likes, different, just everything. Everything is totally different. I mean, yeah, there's parts of me that are still very the same, but there is a lot of growing up and maturity that we went through. And throughout all of that, it's like we also had to figure out, like, do I still love the Xavier now?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and vice versa with him is like, do I like this Adrian that Adrian's becoming? And that's one of the things that, like, it's cute when you think of like, oh, high school sweethearts, but there's a lot of like questions and decisions that we had to go through at a very young age.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And one of the major reasons why we survived is because we were so same-minded, I guess, when it came to our relationship. Mm-hmm. You wanted something serious, I wanted something serious. I didn't want to date anymore. So we had this foundation already of being serious, of being in this relationship to last.
Yeah.
You know, so by the time we graduated, you know, my mind was on marriage. I did want to get married to you.
And I was
18, no job. I didn't know how.
Yeah.
But I did want to,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And it was the same thing for me. If anything, you know, I know for sure. I mean, there's this whole thing where it's like women tend to just mature a lot quicker than men do. And so in my head, I'm here like, great, when I turn 18, maybe I'll get married then. And like, we could start living our lives, because there was also that part of me that was like, I feel like if we keep getting close to like that line of like where we really shouldn't be, of, you know, maintaining our purity, it's like, you know, I want to make it to the altar as a virgin, you know, pure.
Yeah.
And like being able to do all of this together with you. So in my head, I'm here like, God, I want to please you, but this is also pretty hard, you know? So I'm just like, you know, I would love to just get married and make things right and, you know, go on together from that forth. But it wasn't fair of me because we're young. And, you know, I think about it in my sense, right? Like in my head, I'm here like, well, yeah, we could just get married and then that's it. But it's not just that, easy, you know, you got to think about your finances. You got to think about like the actual real life talks, you know, that we definitely weren't ready for. Yeah.
And I wasn't. I actually feel like, although, we weren't ready financially, I feel like mentally you were ready to get married fresh out of high school.
Yeah.
I wasn't.
Yeah.
If anything, I started running away.
Yeah.
I started getting scared. I started getting nervous. It's like I said all these things, but now I don't really know if this is what I want.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that I didn't want to be with you, but I didn't want to be married.
Yeah.
And, you know, we got into
it's a lot of pressure.
We were fighting a lot. We were getting into a lot of arguments because it was a lot of pressure. And then you were getting pressure from your mom as well, because your mom's like, no, you're out of high school. You need to be in school. What is your boyfriend doing? What does he do? Like, is he going to school? Is he getting himself a good job?
That towards him.
Exactly. But it was like, because you were getting a lot of pressure yourself.
Yeah. It was a lot of like domino effects. So it's like at this point, we're like between like 18 to like 20 years old, around that like time frame of our lives.
18 to 20 it was
18 to 20 was a really tough time, you know. It's like, we loved each other a lot and we were willing to like do whatever it takes, but we were also bumping heads because we were now becoming whole new people and we're trying to just figure out life.
Yeah. And honestly, that 18 to 20 was like, even our conversations were difficult.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee an argument on a daily.
Yeah. I remember we were constantly bickering and arguing. I wasn't happy, he wasn't happy, and there was just a lot of like, I feel like at this point of our relationship it was great. We had great moments, but then it was just quickly like I would get upset. I was getting like angry all the time, and I feel like our relationship was like really thinning down. Like it was on a thin line.
Yeah.
You know?
So the only reason why this is getting
oh, I need to drink. I need to take a sip.
It's still difficult for me to talk about. Yeah. So the only reason why it's starting to get, oh God.
Yeah. we might have a little some breaks.
I love you more. I'm just having a hard time, like, kind of like get myself in a, because at the end of the day, right, we want to give this message, but at the same time, it's like, guys, we have to relive this in order to tell you.
Yeah, we went through a pretty rough patch.
And like we were saying, it was a rough time in our life, and at 18-year-old Xavier, I'm going through a lot of pressure, and I'm having a lot of stress, and I'm working at a job that I hated and stuff like that, and unfortunately,
trying to please God, trying to get closer, trying to please God, trying to please your girlfriend, trying to please my mom's expectations, and probably your mom's expectations.
Yeah, and and unfortunately, when we go through these kind of things, we always make wrong decisions. We always do things that we're not supposed to be doing, and whether it's justified or not, we do things that we're not supposed to do. Yeah. And it sucks because at the end of the day, we have to live with that part in history, that stain in our history. And for me, it's difficult to talk about because I can never, like not that I can never, like I have to, but it's hard for me. It's hard for me to talk about because it's hard for me to forgive myself, in a sense. Yeah. So, I wanted to get married to her, but no doors were opening. No doors were opening at all. Nothing was happening. Nothing was moving. I couldn't even land a decent job. Yeah. I mean, we're young. Opening, I wasn't going to school. I wasn't doing anything. And nothing was working out. It was getting very frustrating. And I remember we were about 20 at this point. I'm in school, and I'm praying to God. It was at a church service. I'm praying to God, and I'm praying. I'm like, God, like, open the doors for me. This isn't working for me. You told me that this was going to be my wife. This isn't working for me. And he said, well, if you want to get married, if you want me to open the door, you need to be true. You need to be true to who you are. You need to be true to who your wife is supposed to be. And you need to say everything you need to say.
You need to be honest with her.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I told her, unfortunately I had a moment of weakness, and while, not to justify, but it's to like to just to like talk about God. I looked for happiness elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't finding it within our relationship. So I looked for happiness elsewhere. Um and it was kind of like I don't know why. I don't know why, you know, and I didn't have sex with somebody else, you know, like, but I had intimacy with someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm like really trying to like hold myself. I'm trying to, you know, because it's difficult. Guys, you know, if you mess up, you mess up. Own up to it.
Yeah. But you were
Own
trying
it.
to like,
You know, own it. If you're going through it right now, own it.
yeah.
I'm serious because it's gonna live with you and it's gonna haunt you for the rest of your life. You know, so I ended up telling you.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, I wanted to get married to you, and God told me if I want to get married, I need to be truthful. I need to be honest. So I did it. It didn't work out the way I expected it to be. I expected it to be, you know, like, oh, but you know,
why didn't it work
God
out?
God told me if I told you it'd be okay, right?
Yeah.
But it didn't work out. Right?
I
So
mean, yeah, like, I mean, I obviously flipped out.
yeah.
And, you know, when I think about it back, it's like, you know, our breakup, because at this point we broke up because of this, but it wasn't just because of this. This was, if anything, the
Just
cherry on top
It's
of
what,
everything.
yeah,
You
you
know,
were
because
already
we were,
borderline.
I was already on my way of like, I don't know if this is going to work out, you know, and I'm trying and he's trying, but there's just the battles of life coming together. And, you know, after this, I'm here like, I'm just done trying, you know? And I hate, like, so when we get emotional, at least when I get emotional, I don't want it to come interpreted as like I still need healing or forgiving, because like, man, I love you. I love you so much. And I had a supernatural moment with the healing that happened to me. So it's not that, it's just reliving.
It's having to relive this moment because
I remember how I felt.
Yeah,
you know?
it was a dark moment.
It was a very like just a life flipping moment. It's like when you're with someone for so long, you know, at this point when we broke up, I was together, I don't know, like 6 years or something together.
Yeah, something like that.
So it's like at this point, it felt like part of my identity had become with you. But I think also, you know, for sure, and I know we had this conversation, it's like at some point of my life, I did feel like I was idolizing you. Like you were this perfect guy, like, you know, like you come first over everything. And it was like I was putting you in place of where only God's place should be. I need a quick drink.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you know, unfortunately, you know, God tells us that we can't rely on man.
And I think, you know,
and that's not unfortunately. God tells us that we can't rely on man.
Yeah, it's just we're not supposed to trust men, you know? Like,
well, not men, but man, like
human, we're not supposed to trust man, you know? And it's like because man fails us each and every day. And I think that God allows us to experience certain things because he's all like, I'm telling you, like, I am the one that you need to look forward to. You know, there is something more like for you, but you can't find that within Xavier. You can't find that within your couple or your relationship or the person that you love the most. That's not where your happiness comes from. It comes from God. And I know at that point, it was just like you were so high up here that like nothing can bring you down. And, you know, God was working within you, but he was definitely working within me because it might seem like it was just like, you know, the way I see it, it's like it feels like, you know, anybody that sees it from the outside could be like, oh, Adrian's like the victim here. But also there was a lot of things that I know I did to push you, you know, and again, it's not to justify your actions, but it's like.
No, that's wrong regardless. It's not the way someone should behave.
No, I know. And I'm not saying that it was excusable in any way, but what I'm saying is like we were just both it was just a bad moment in our lives, you know? And at this point, it was just like a flip went on, and I'm here like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I want now. And it's like my life changed for the worse. You know, like I started going to all these parties, hanging out with all these people I shouldn't have, going to places I shouldn't, you know. Like I was definitely in a moment of hurt and wanting to hurt, you know. And I remember I would just like, I don't know how much more like to go into detail, but like, yeah, you know, I just remember talking to other people, trying to like not be in relationships, but just like, I don't even know, I guess dating other people and just trying to do it to like get him angry, but also like trying to fill in a void of like not being alone.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was rough for sure.
Yeah. I mean, even for me, you know, during our breakup, you were going through your moment and I was going through my moment. My moment was a little different because I'm the one that did wrong, right? So I'm here trying to find forgiveness within myself. I'm here trying to pray to God, like, God, you told me this. And, you know, I'm going to youth leaders and I'm going to all kinds of friends, all kinds of people that were supposed to be these higher people for inspiration, for godly inspiration, right? And you'd be surprised by how much bad advice I've got from a lot of people. And I was just diving into the word and I started like seeking God like never before, right? Because one, I was alone, you know, and unfortunately I used Adrian as emotional stability partner, right? So all my stability, all my emotions was indulged into our relationship. You know, if I was feeling a certain way, I'd go to Adrian. If I needed help, I'd go to Adrian. If I was sad, Adrian. If I was angry, Adrian. If I was depressed, Adrian. Everything was Adrian, Adrian, Adrian. I was never even home. My family they never really even saw me. Yeah. You know, because all I ever wanted to do all I ever wanted to do was be next to you. Yeah. So when it came time to losing you, I was like broken. You lost everything. I was broken. Yeah. I didn't have you anymore. Yeah. So I'm home, not doing anything, and waking up vomiting. Yeah. Not wanting to eat. I got so skinny.
Yeah, I remember we both like.
I went bald too.
Yeah.
Like not bald because, you know, I lost my hair, but bald, I shaved my head. I was going through emotional wreck. Yeah. It was bad for me.
Yeah.
You know, and all I kept saying was, God, you told me that if I said it, if you told me if I was honest, I would win her back. You know, and it was days in and days out, me trying to reach out to you, we went like maybe like, 8 months. I think it was like 8 months. Almost a year. I know it was almost a year.
I feel like it was maybe somewhere around like 6 months, 7 months. Yeah, it was long, but it wasn't like.
It's felt like forever.
It felt like a life. I feel like I lived an entire life. Right. Because meanwhile, he's getting closer to God, and I'm here like I'm gonna party it up. Like I'm gonna do whatever I want because. And it
hurt. Because it hurt a lot of times because. I remember you calling me that one time that you were at a party.
Yeah.
And she was drunk.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it hurt to see her that way.
Yeah.
You know, but she was hurting me. She was calling me to hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember you called, but you left the phone on.
Yeah.
I heard what was going on, and I quickly knew where you were. Yeah. I'm just remembering this now. I heard what was going on the phone because you weren't speaking on the phone. You just called and left it on as if it was like a butt dial.
I see this part is like where I don't remember, you know?
So you called and you left it on as if it was a butt dial. So I'm listening and I'm like, hello? Like, why are you, hello?
Why are you calling me?
Yeah, exactly. Why are you calling me? And
you know
I go over there and I actually creeped into the window and I saw you there. And then I just waited outside.
It was like a basement party, basically.
Yeah,
like,
I waited outside, and then I hung up and I called you again.
And I remember you told me to come talk to you outside, but literally at that point, I was being offered to like smoke weed with people. Yeah,
I remember everybody was leaving outside. Yeah,
everybody was leaving, and I was going outside, but not to do it necessarily, but just to be around. But who knows? And here we come. It's like Xavier's like, hey, like I want to talk with you.
Yeah.
And I'm here like messed up, you know, and I'm talking to him, and you know, after that, like I'm just crying, and I'm like, I don't know what I want, and this and that. And they were like, oh, come on, like Adrian, like let's go, you know. And this comes back to where we were saying like your inner circle is so important.
Yeah.
Because there were people there that were really close to me. And knowing that I'm going through my breakup, instead of saying like, you know, I'm so sorry you're going through this, let me lead you to the person who can repair your heart. They were like, yo, let's go do everything wrong, you know? And it saddens me because it's like, okay, obviously this breakup was like a rough moment. But then it's like, man, seeing all the decisions I made afterwards, it's all like, wow, Adrian, you had no self-control. Like, you just went on a really dark path. But this is why I, you know, just keep repeating, like, just please be wise with your friendships, be wise with that inner circle, man. Just because they will either lead you all the way up or all the way down.
Break you or make you.
You know, break you or make you. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and at this point, I'm being pretty obsessive over you.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people know what I was going through, a lot of my close friends. But I had a moment where I went to a different church. I don't know why. I just decided to go to this different church, and I knew nobody in there, right? And this person walks up to me when they do an altar call. This person walks up to me. He's like, listen, dude, I don't know you. And this was like a young, like he looked like he could be a youth pastor, right? He's like, listen, I don't know you. I don't know what you're going through. But for some reason, God's telling me to tell you to man up. Dang. And I look up and I'm like, yeah. What? You know, and I went back to my seat and I'm thinking to myself, I know what I need to do. You know, and I text you and I'm like, hey, we need to talk. You know, so I go over to your house. I drive over to your house, and we meet at the front at your front door. I remember
we were talking at the porch.
And I went up to you, and I let you have it.
Yeah.
And I went at it. And I was like, I'm done with you. I want nothing to do with you. I want you to stop texting me. I want you to stop calling me. I want you to stop giving me those mixed emotional text messages, because there was a lot of back and forth, right? There were moments where you even told me I love you throughout the breakup. And I basically told her, I don't want to hear it anymore. I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember, just leave me alone.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I remember at this point, it's like, I was like, all right, whatever. Like, I wasn't going to anyways. Yeah. Like, you know, and it's insane because I remember talking to my mom, like, you know, because she, you know, me and her never had a super, super close relationship where I would like let her into what I'm going through and my emotions. But I remember she came up to me and she was like asking me like, you know, how do you feel? Like, do you think it's like worth just giving up? And I remember telling her, I'm like, listen, if we ever get back together, it's because God wanted it to, you know? And I was
pues así fue, mija.
Yeah, and I remember I was just all like, bye. Like, you know, I was just so in an angry moment. I was just doing whatever I wanted with my life, talking to whoever I wanted to. And I was just, yeah, it was just a bad moment for Adrian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then a week went by, and let me tell you, man, she saved me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was getting ready. I was already talking to somebody. I started talking to somebody. Mm-hmm. And within that week, I was already setting the plan. You know, I was already laying out the floor plan to get to where I need to get to, right? To indulge myself into my fleshly spirit.
Yeah.
You know, and the crazy thing is that when I picked her up, you text me. And I said, what the hell does she want now?
It's crazy.
I was so mad because I already knew what that was. My spirit already knew what that was, but my flesh was angry.
And I think if I'm right, I had text you like, could we actually talk now?
Yeah.
Like, and for real.
And I picked this chick up, you know, and the crazy thing is I took her to the youth service. I took her to the Friday service.
It's crazy. You know what that is, though? I think it's that, because I think about it now, too, right? It's like, man, like, we're petty.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I'm here talking to someone, trying to hurt him, and I bring this person also to youth service, and I'm just like, you know, in my head, I'm trying to justify it as like, I'm bringing someone to church, you know? And same thing goes for you. I'm bringing this person to church. But really, you know, we're doing it with all the wrong intentions of like for you to see, for me to see, you know, and yeah, I'm sorry, I just needed to
No,
add that
it's
part in.
fine. And so basically, you know, we were at the service and whatnot. The service ends, and I'm with this chick, right? So we're out, we're doing whatever, and then it's crazy because she was like, "Hey, my mom needs to meet you,"
The
and
girl.
I'm like, "Yo," but
You're
I
like,
meet her anyway,
yeah.
and I did the whole Christian card. I did the Christian card. I
Dang.
was like, hey, listen, I just took your daughter from church. I mean, I just took your daughter to church. You know, we just left the youth service. I'm just hanging out with her. I'm not a bad guy, this and that. Like, I have no
Dang.
bad intentions with your daughter. You know, if you ever want to come to, I even invited her.
Que sí
You ever, you ever
vergüenza.
want, if you ever want to come to our church, you know, it's, you know, here, and here.
Yeah, we had really
We have Friday and Sunday services, whatever. And then she was like, okay, sure, whatever. And I legit was able to stay with this chick till like about 3 a.m.
Wow.
You know, and
We were really far gone.
you text me even then, right?
Like at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you
or
text me around that time, and in my head, I'm like, yo, I want nothing to do with this chick. I want
yeah.
nothing to do with Adrian. But in my other part, I was like, I have to talk to her. You know, and nothing happened. You know, thank God nothing happened between the girl, and it was literally the text that saved me because it was in the back of my head like, dang, yo, what does she want to know? What does she want to talk to me about?
And you know what's crazy?
You know, and I took this girl home.
Wow.
I took her home. I didn't kiss her. You know, she got upset because I didn't kiss her. You know, I didn't kiss her. I was doing the gentleman card and everything. Like
But she was expecting something.
she was expecting something.
She knew what was gonna go down, basically.
Yeah, because she took me to a dark area near her neighborhood where we can definitely do whatever we needed to do. But we didn't do anything. And instead we just sat there and I was like, I need to take you home.
Wow.
Yeah. And
you know, within this,
that.
what I do remember is that within that week, I mean, I think definitely from like your conversation, like when we had together, it came from like, whatever, I didn't want anything to do with you anyways. But then it's like something like sparked in me and I'm like, I need to change. I need to get my, like, I need to get my walk straight, you know, like I have drifted way too far gone and this is like enough is enough type of thing. And I remember at this point, like my spiritual life, like I was definitely like in that intimacy life with God. And I'm like, I need to get away from everything, from all of it. And I think that's like when I text you at the end of it, you know, and I'm like, you know, what's going on between like that was my intention, like, you know, and come to find out it was really like something more that could have happened.
Yeah. And, you know, I just want to add real quick because I don't know who's going to see this video, right? Like, I don't know if maybe this chick for some reason stumbles on this video and ends up watching it, right? But I just want to say, like, hey, I'm sorry that you were part of this stupid plan, this stupid moment in my life, this moment of weakness in my life. And I was just trying to, like,
you know,
trying to get over her, you know, but thankfully we didn't do anything. Thankfully, you know, I respect her in every way. You know, I held her hand and opened the door for her and, you know, send her on her way. You know, I didn't do anything disrespectful.
But the intentions
But my intentions were wrong.
Apologizing.
You know, and that's what I'm apologizing for because my intentions were wrong.
Yeah.
You know, because the next day I like completely ghosted her.
Dang.
You know, because it's like now I'm seeing an opportunity between the two of us.
Yeah. And you're like, that wasn't,
it's
like you woke up.
Exactly. I woke up before I knocked myself up, before I knocked myself out is what I meant to say. I woke up from that.
Yeah.
You know, and fast forward, you know, like literally a couple months later, it was like 4 or 5 months later.
Well, okay, wait. So then, we started going out, and then I remember, it was very different for us this time.
Oh yeah, we were very serious.
It was a totally different relationship. Like we were, we were seeking God so much more together this time.
Yeah.
But then also like we were just, our communication level had opened up so much because within this time, like actually even from before our breakup, I was just one that always kept and held everything in. And like if something bothered me, I wouldn't say anything. And it's like within that time, I was able to kind of develop this characteristic of like, hey, like your communication needs to be up there. If you're expecting something, if you're this, if you're that, if you're disappointed, before it escalates to like a really bad moment. And so like literally when we went back out, it felt like you were a whole new person. I was a whole new person. Like we had just gone through this whole whirlwind of like changes. But we were like the much better version.
Yeah.
For sure.
And you know what? All the doors started really opening
literally
up for
all
us.
The door after that, everything opened for
everything
us.
Was
like
opening.
This.
Like my job, I had gotten a raise at my job. The job that I got before we broke up, you know, and I asked for a certain amount and I got that exact amount that I needed.
Yeah.
You know, and you were getting a job at Wells Fargo, I think, at that time, were you still at Sephora? I forget.
So at that point, I was at the bank, but I was starting to develop my my business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Smash Brush was just starting to happen.
Smash Brush was starting. Yeah, because I had been doing makeup this whole time, but like this is when like it was actually getting serious. Yeah. And literally like it was like the beginning of everything. And you know, we went back out like sometime in like October. It's going to be a lot of jumping forth, but I hope you guys can keep up with this. In the beginning of the year.
I'm trying to figure out, too, what you're going to say.
In the beginning of the year, before we broke up and, like, all of that happened, because that happened around spring.
Yeah.
But New Year happens, we were at youth group, and I remember they asked you, like, so what is one of your goals for this year?
Yeah, that's
They had
right.
asked you. And I remember at this point, because we had been talking just about marriage so much, I was like, is he going to propose here? And he was like, you know, I have goals for this. I want to get, paid more. I want to do this. I want to do that. And I would love to be engaged, you know? And I was just like, oh my gosh. So, but obviously our break and like everything that happened felt like years. It was like, you know how COVID and all of this, or maybe let me not say COVID, but you know,
but this is, hold on. But this is before
our breakup.
No. The youth service is before the New Year's actual engagement. The testimony.
Yeah. This was literally a year before the new year that we're talking about.
Oh, okay.
So,
I remember that now.
So the year that we
I just
got
confused,
together,
so I think the viewers might be getting confused too.
So here, let me clarify. So 2014, beginning January 2014, we go to youth service and they ask you, what are your New Year's resolutions? You say all of this and you said, I would love to be engaged. Spring 2014, we break up. All of spring, all of summer, most of fall, you know, we're not together. And then we come back together in October. Then December 2014, going on to 2015, we're at church, we're about to celebrate. And then you go up there and you have your testimony. Yeah, you're just talking about your year. And I'm just like, how crazy of a year it's been.
And this is in front of the entire congregation.
This is in front of like hundreds of people, you know. And
your family was there too.
My family, your family, like everyone was just there, and we're just talking about like what a crazy year it's been, but we're like so grateful of how like everything just turned out. And then he had said like, so at the beginning of this year, I said that I wanted 3 things to happen. And at that point I was like, oh my God, like, wait, what? And then he's like, I said that I wanted this to happen. And I'm here like, maybe I'm building it up in my head. Yeah. Let me not overthink this because, you know, mind you, we came from a road of like wanting to get married, but just no doors opening. Yeah. So in my head, I'm here like, I don't know, like, you know, we definitely fixed so many issues. So it was possible, but I just didn't want to get souped up in my head. And then you were like, and for my last wish, and then, you know, he calls me over and then he's like, can you come up front? And I was like, oh my God. You know? And then, then we, you know, we get engaged and it was like the best New Year's celebration and all of that. And honestly, like from there,
man, God is good.
Yeah, we were doing things the right way.
Yeah.
We were doing things with God in front of us and, you know, still learning and still trying to get better and better, but with just a different perspective. Yeah. You know, and a different goal in mind. And yeah, I'm sorry if I'm over talking.
No, it's fine. It's fine because honestly, I'm glad you said it because I actually forgot about the early 2014 goals that I set, you know, and it's great, you know, because after the engagement, literally all the doors started opening up. We weren't making much.
Wedding?
Yeah, for our wedding, we weren't making much, but listen, we made it happen. We started saving money as if we were paying rent, and that's what we were doing to save money, right? But then
because we weren't living together.
We weren't.
I was living with my mom. He was still living with his family.
But we were paying as if we were paying a rent. So that's what ended up being our honeymoon savings.
Honeymoon, wedding, like literally everything.
Well, mainly honeymoon.
Mainly honeymoon, yeah.
And then, but all the doors started opening because we out of nowhere, some person, hey, I'm gonna give you $1,000 for this. Then another person, hey, I'm gonna pay off this.
I want to pay.
Hey, another person, I want to pay off this. And we're like, yo, like this isn't really happening. Yeah. And then when it even came to the apartment, it's like my dad came, like, hey, don't worry, I got this for you.
Yeah, like there was just so many open doors, and you know, when you like ask God, like, God, give me a sign. Yeah. You know, and he just, like, man, when God is involved, he is good. He is so good and so gracious. But he needed for us to go through this crazy realization of not idolizing each other, but also like our own character development. But I loved it. Like everything, like, I mean, yeah, God has just been so good. Yeah. And it is clear and evident, you know, how much he's been with us. I mean, he was always with us, but from that moment and on, it was just all like, wow, like, God, you are good.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah. And then, I mean, we even had I'm sorry, I know you're trying to say something, but I'm just like remembering, like, you know, when you ask for a dream for God, and sometimes you're like, it's too big, but it's like, God's not like, nothing's impossible. Right. So like one of our goals was like, okay, we don't have that much money, but man, we want to go to Bora Bora.
Oh, even that worked out for us.
And man, that perfectly. And we got to go, and it was
we got to go.
It was,
you know, and if you guys want to check it out, I left the video in this channel. I uploaded it like maybe a year ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
I did like this whole montage of clips that we recorded. We didn't record much because we were trying to enjoy our honeymoon. Yeah. But it's there if you guys want to watch. You know, we did go to Bora Bora. We went to Murray and Bora Bora.
Yeah.
And then there's like a 4 years later part in that video as well.
Is there? Oh yeah. Oh my God, I have the worst memory.
God, I gained weight.
I know. Don't look at us. Don't judge us, guys.
Yeah. But all right, guys. I mean,
yeah.
I think this is well over an hour. I don't know what it's really at right now, but we have to end it here. You know, if you guys stuck around to this point, thank you. You guys are troopers. I mean,
you guys are troopers.
I love y'all for that. Again, thank you so much for the support.
Seriously, because it's like, you know, it's scary starting something new, but like knowing that we have people here that are cheering us on and, you know, hoping to hear something like that's very inspirational for us, and just makes us want to keep uploading. Yeah. Sorry for the crazy roller coaster, but yeah, like no relationship is perfect. I know sometimes a lot of people, because I've heard it of like, oh my gosh, you guys are so cute, like I want something like that, and I'm like, we've gone through so much. You don't understand. You know, there was a lot of molding, but I'm grateful and I love you.
I love you more, baby.
And I can't wait for what's next.
Yeah. But all right, guys.
Yeah, that's basically it.
That's episode 2.
That is episode 2. I don't know what the next episode will be. But
well, it's definitely gonna be Monday uploaded at 12 again.
Monday at 12. You know, so stay tuned.
We have a long list of things that we want to upload. We're just like picking which one we're gonna do.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
So all right.
Thanks,
that's
guys,
it, guys.
For watching.
Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.